Hey guys, welcome back to Two Bricks. I have a really exciting model to show you today. It's part of my LEGO Star Wars microscale fleet, and it's the Corvus from Star Wars Battlefront 2, from the campaign. This is such an interesting ship because it's a unique class of ship that we haven't really seen much of in any Star Wars media, which is sort of an imperial blockade runner. It's very close in size to the Tantive V4. This model is, or the official ship is 150 meters long, or 50 Lego studs. And I'll show you how it compares to the Tantive V4, for example. Pretty close in size. Let me just adjust the camera angle there. And this is a Rebel transport as well. So you can see fairly similar in size. And obviously much smaller than something like an Imperial Star Destroyer, which is, just gigantic. So I thought it was really cool that they introduced this new class of vehicle for Battlefront 2, and I knew I just had to build one once I saw it. It's got this really unique design aesthetic where it's kind of like a Star Destroyer and a TIE Fighter kind of had a baby, and it's really unique looking. So yeah, this was a lot of fun to build, and I'm gonna dive right in and show you guys some of the details up close. Okay, so starting at the kind of bridge section right here, I have this this piece, which is, I think it's like a fence, or I'm not really sure what the original purpose of that piece was, but yeah, I thought that made a really good kind of front bridge window. Really evokes that design. And then the whole thing has this interesting forward slant to it, where as it sits on the legs, the whole thing has this kind of downward rake. So I think that's really cool. It's a really interesting feature of it. Here along the sides, you can see inside of there are all of the escape pods. I believe that I have the correct amount. I'm pretty sure that there's supposed to be 5 on either side. And then looking at it from the side, you can see these kind of TIE-inspired winglets, which I think are really interesting looking. And they have this kind of interesting design work all over them, which I've just indicated a little bit of in here with some of these rounded gray plates. But yeah, the actual thing has a really cool, intricate kind of look to it. And I'm not sure if there's any functionality to that in universe, but it definitely looks awesome. And then as we move around to the back, I like how it has this kind of angled down section, and then it kind of has a cutout that accommodates this very large central engine. And I'm using a couple of tires off to the side for the smaller engines, and then these 2x2 trans light blue round bricks to represent kind of the engine detail. And then this is a piece from the kind of support base for the pieces from LEGO Dimensions. And I knew that someday I'd find an interesting use for those beyond just the game itself, which I actually never ended up playing. I just bought the sets. So yeah, that was something I thought would make for a really good use of that piece back there. And then also I'm using this large black plastic wheel piece, which it kind of evokes the right shape for the engine, but I think it should probably be dark gray. But I'm okay with that. I think it's I think it definitely, with all these interesting facets, it really captures the right sort of detail and look for the engine, so that's what I'm most happy with. And then when you move on to the underside, you can see that it has another one of these wings. There's actually 3 in total, and it's a similar design but not exactly the same, and it also angles up in this really interesting way where it kind of curves in towards the ship and then up, and that just, I don't know, it just creates this like interesting shape on the bottom. And that was something that took a little bit of figuring out, but once I got it, I was really happy with how it looked. And then it gets very flat and hollow towards the front, and then this kind of overhang, this is how it really is in the ship. There's no real kind of detail or anything under here. It's mainly just to complete the triangular shape, and then the actual hull stops short of that. So I thought that was interesting. And then just down the side here, we have like a little bit of light greebling to suggest maybe where some windows might be. And oh, and it has these 2 cannons on either side, which can kind of swivel around, rotate, point up, fire out in either direction, forward or back. So that's really cool. So yeah, the Corvus is just a really slick, interesting looking ship, and I really praise the designers of Battlefront 2 for creating such an interesting looking craft. In my last video, I was lamenting the lack of Imperial firepower in my fleet, due to the fact that Imperial ships get very big very quickly, and I don't really have the ability to replicate those at my scale. But this is a really welcome addition to help remedy that. And even though in the game very quickly, spoiler alert, the team ends up kind of defecting over to the rebel side, and the Corvus actually gets converted into a rebel vehicle. I decided to depict the Imperial version because, like I said, I'm desperately short on Imperial firepower in my fleet. So yeah, that was a really fun aspect of it as well. Alright guys, and here is the Corvus amongst the rest of the fleet. I decided to take this little detour before proceeding on to the prequels, only because the Battlefront 2 campaign takes place during and right after the Return of the Jedi, so I figured that that would fit in nicely into that portion of the timeline. So it's pretty cool to imagine the Corvus engaging with, the rebels and kind of fighting in those final battles of the original trilogy. I think it really fits in very well, even though, a lot of these ships were designed 40 years ago, and this one was designed just a few years ago. They all still fit together really well, so I love that about. That's probably one of the coolest things about Star Wars, is it's got this gigantic tapestry where things keep getting woven in, and it all just kind of fits together, and it's this really interesting thing. So yeah, really excited to get on to episode 1, The Phantom Menace, with you guys next. A movie that I know a lot of people roll their eyes about when they think about, but I personally think that it has some of the most interesting and unique sci-fi designs maybe ever in history. So that'll be really fun. Let's get on to that one. All right, you guys, so you know the drill. If you guys enjoyed the video, please do all the good YouTube stuff. It really helps the channel grow, and the more that the channel grows, the more resources and time I can devote to it, and the more stuff I can bring you guys. So yeah, that's it for now. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one, and may the Force be with you.